Hello friends, so I'm Dr. Nikita back with this another very interesting video with the tricks on identification of eggs, where you get at least one question in every exam on identifying the eggs. So this is the most demanding topic that we have been getting queries on to post a video and an easy way to identify the eggs. So let's get started with it. So first we will see the schematic diagrams, how do we remember the various eggs, and then we will go on to the actual images which are asked in the exam. So the first we would be seeing are of course the most commonly asked, that is schistosoma eggs. How do you differentiate between schistosoma, hematobium, then Manzoni and Japonicum? So these are very frequently asked images on differentiating these eggs. So we know that each of these, like either one of these one has terminal spine, one has lateral spine, and one has lateral knob. So one has terminal spine, one has lateral spine, and one has lateral knob. So how do we know which has terminal spine or lateral knob? So remember that if you see the spellings of hematobium, Manzoni and Japonicum, it is only hematobium which has T in its spelling. So hematobium is terminal spine. So easy way, hematobium T has terminal spine. The next we have is which one has lateral spine and which has lateral knob. So when you spell Japonicum, spell it as Japonicum, that is K-U-M rather than C-U-M. That K stands for knob. So Japonicum has a knob, of course a lateral knob, because terminal is only in hematobium. Now we have only one left, that is lateral spine. So again Manzoni S. Manzoni has a spine, it will have a lateral spine because terminal is T, that is hematobium. So easy way, hematobium T, terminal spine, Japonicum K, knob, that is lateral, Manzoni S, that is spine, that is lateral. So that was about schistosoma. Now coming to the other eggs, that is Trichuris trichura. So remember that parasites which have double words like Trichuris trichura, it is being repeated, Trichuris trichura. Then you have Hymenolopus nana. So nana is repeated. So Hymenolopus nana and Trichuris trichura, these are repeated terms. So both of these have bipolar, that is at both the poles they have something. So even Hymenolopus nana has at both the poles and Trichuris trichura has at both the poles. In Trichuris trichura, it is bipolar mucus plugs. In H. nana, you have knobs at both the poles. So you have bipolar knobs. Plus you have in H. nana, you have the polar filaments. So you have the bipolar filaments. So rather than calling it as Hymenolopus nana, we call it as Hymenopolus nana. So polus is polar filaments. So it has bipolar, nana stands for 2 times repeated. So it has bipolar knobs with polar filaments. So that is about H. nana, Trichuris trichura, repeated term 2 times. So it has 2 polar plugs, the mucus plugs. Coming to the next trick to remember the eggs. Now, which parasite has segmented ovum or segmented egg? It is hookworm. So if you will see the egg of hookworm, it will be segmented egg, and then between the egg and the shell you will have a clear space. That is how the egg of hookworm looks like. So how do you know that hookworm has a segmented egg? if you see, it is only hookworm in which the spelling has double O, that is two eggs coming together. So hookworm, double eggs means there are multiple eggs, that is segmented egg. So segmented egg is seen in hookworm, and you have clear space. So we use hooks in the room to arrange our things in the room, to hang our things in the room, to keep the room clean. So clear space, we use hooks. So hookworm has clear space and segmented eggs. The next mnemonic to remember the egg of Anterobius vermicularis. So it has plano-convex egg. So they will ask you which of the following has a plano-convex egg. It is Anterobius. How do we remember that? Plano-convex. So it is exterobium. Rather than writing enterobium, it is exterobium. So the spelling plano-convex should remind you EX is exterobium. So the egg of enterobium is plano, that is it has a flat surface and a convex surface, and inside that you will see a tadpole larva. So Anterobius vermicularis, so it will have a worm, that is a tadpole larva within the egg. So that is how it would be plano-convex. Now the next is, which of the eggs have operculum at one end and a knob at the other? So if this is the egg, one side you will have operculum and the other side you will have knob. So on both the things you are having something, one is operculum, one is knob. So such eggs are Clonorchis sinensis and Diphyllobothrum latum. How do you remember that? Now if you see these terms, Diphyllobothrum, di means two, Clonorchis means cloning. When you do cloning, again it is two. So both of these, that is 2 and 2, will have something at the two ends. So operculum at one end and knob at the other. So how do you differentiate the two eggs? In Clonorchis sinensis, this operculum is rested on the shoulders. So there are shoulders on which this operculum is rested. So sinensis has shoulder. While Diphyllobothrum latum egg, it will have operculum and knob. The shell will be smooth. There would be no shoulders in Diphyllobothrum latum. So remember, diphyllo 2, cloning is 2, Clonorchis. So they have something at both the ends, that is operculum and knob. Sinensis has shoulder. Diphyllobothrum has no shoulder. Next is, we saw the egg of Hymenolopus, or for a mnemonic it is Hymenopolis nana, that was polar filaments. With bipolar you have knobs. So this was Hymenopolis nana. How do you differentiate it from Hymenolopus diminuta, that is the rat tapeworm? So Hymenopolis, again for a mnemonic, Hymenopolis diminuta. So polus diminuta, that is the polar filaments are diminished, that is they are absent. So in H diminuta there would be no polar filaments. So if you would see the egg of H nana, you would have the bipolar knobs and you will have the polar filaments. While in diminuta you will have the bipolar, you will not have this polar filaments. That is how we differentiate the two eggs. Now which egg has radial or linear striations, that is the eggshell is striated? It is Taenia. You cannot differentiate Taenia solium from Saginata on the egg itself. So the Taenia species eggs, they have striations. How do we remember that? So Taenia rhymes with linea. that is linear. So Taenia has linear striations. So when you will see the egg of Taenia, the shell will have the radial or linear striations, plus it will have the hooklets. The eggs of cystodes, be it H. nana, H. diminuta or Taenia, they have hooklets within. The cystodes eggs have hooklets. So it is a hexacanth, that is it has 6 hooklets. That is how the egg of Taenia will look like. The one which is remaining in cystodes is Diphyllobothrum latum. We saw that already, but in the cystodes the difference is that this Diphyllobothrum latum is the only cystode which has operculum. We saw how to remember Diphyllobothrum. So di is 2. So on one end it has operculum, on the other end it has knob. It has no shoulders. So the only cystode with operculum is Diphyllobothrum latum. So that was about the mnemonics. Now let us see the images which are asked. So in the nematodes, this is where we are seeing the plano-convex egg. So plano-convex, exterobius, so enterobius vermicularis. Here we are seeing bipolar mucus plugs. This is trichuris, trichura, the 2 times repeated word. Ascaris, we did not see, let's see it here. Ascaris, fertile egg and unfertile egg. How do we differentiate the two? So to remember Ascaris, as the name says, Ascaris is a scary egg. Why is it scary? Because the surface is not smooth. It is bumpy or tuberculated surface. As you see here, it is bumpy or tuberculated surface. How do you differentiate fertile and unfertilized egg? So when you know that fertile or fertilized or a pregnant female, she becomes obese. So from thin and slim, she will become rounded. So unfertile will be elongated, fertile will be rounded because the pregnant female is round. So the fertile egg will be round, unfertile egg will be elongated. Fertile egg will have a thicker cortex or shell, opposite would be in unfertile. So that is how we differentiate Ascaris. Remember, Ascaris is scary, that is tuberculated or bumpy surface. Now hookworm, what did we see for hookworm? It has segmented egg and we use hooks to clear the space. So that is where we see this segmented ovum and there's a clear space between the egg and the shell. Coming to cystodes, we saw for cystodes they have hooklets except Diphyllobothrum. So Taenia, what did we see for Taenia is linear. So it has striations, linear striations. So that is the Taenia egg. Hymenolopus nana, that is Hymenopolis. So it will have polar filaments. Nana is 2 times, so it will have knobs at both the end. So these are the polar filaments that we are seeing between this oncosphere and the shell. In contrast, Hymenolopus diminuta, so diminished polar filaments, absent polar filaments. So here the space between the shell and the oncosphere is clear. There are no polar filaments. Diphyllobothrum latum, we said di means it has on 2 sides something, operculum and a knob. So that is the operculum and this is the knob on the other end. So the only cystode with operculum is Diphyllobothrum latum. Coming to trematodes, here we see terminal spine. Terminal is hematobium. So this is Schistosoma hematobium. This is a lateral spine. So spine is Manzoni. This is a lateral knob. So K is Japonicum. And this is Clonorchis sinensis. We said clone means 2. So it will have operculum and a knob. And sinensis means shoulders. So here you see this outpouching shoulder like thing where the operculum is resting. So that is Clonorchis sinensis. So again, since this is a very important topic, we will just go through the random quiz of the eggs identification. So this first egg that we see here, it has bipolar plugs. So this will be Trichuris trichura. What egg is this? This is lateral spine. Spine is Manzoni. So this is Schistosoma Manzoni. Which egg is this? This egg has linear striations. So linear is Taenia. So this is Taenia egg. Which egg is this? Here you have operculum, you have a knob, but operculum is resting on the shoulders. So shoulders is Sinensis. So Clonarchus sinensis. What egg is this? Here we see the hooklets within the egg. So it's a cystode, but there are no polar filaments. It's a clear space. So no polar filaments. So diminished, that is Diminuta. So this is H. diminuta. This again you see the hooklets, so a cystode, but there are this polar filaments, so this becomes H. nana. Which egg is this? It's a plano-convex egg, plano-convex exterobium, that is enterobium. Which egg is this? This is a terminal spine. Terminal means hematobium, so this is Schistosoma hematobium. Which is this egg? This is a segmented egg with a clear space, so it is hookworm. We cannot say whether it is ankylostom or Necator, it is hookworm. So segmented egg and clear space. Which is this? Here you see the operculum, which is open, and a small knob at the other end. So on both ends there is something, it is Diphyllobothrum latum. Which one is this? Here we see a small lateral knob. Knob is Japonicum. So this is Schistosoma Japonicum. So hope this video helps you in revising the eggs identification. Please do it one day before the exam as well, because you'll get at least one image on the parasitology eggs, and the more you revise this, the more you'll be scoring those 4 marks for this one question. So best wishes and thank you. Schedule that we would be seeing is schedule FF. So schedule FF is for ophthalmic drugs. How do we remember that? We remember it by spelling ophthalmic as OF. So FF is for ophthalmic drugs. The next is schedule G. How do we remember that? G stands for guidance, that is medical supervision. So G stands for guidance, that is medical supervision. So these drugs should be taken under medical supervision, though prescription is not necessary to buy these drugs. The next is schedule H, which is, remember it by healthcare practitioner, prescription is required. So these drugs require the prescription to buy. So remember H is healthcare practitioner, prescription is required. This was the question that was asked in the recent AIIMS exam. Now the next schedule is schedule J. How do we remember that? So schedule J includes drugs which are for conditions which cannot be cured or prevented. They do not claim that. So conditions like HIV, diabetes mellitus, atherosclerosis come under these. So how do we remember that? So when a patient gets diseases like this, that is HIV, diabetes, which cannot be cured, तब patient की हो जाती है जय हो. So जय हो is J. So जय हो, that only Lord can protect you now. So J stands for conditions which make you jai ho. The next is schedule P. How do we remember that? P stands for period of life. What does that mean? The expiry date of the drug. So if they ask you which schedule is related to the expiry date and the storage conditions of the drug, it is schedule P. So P is period of life. The next is schedule W. So schedule W includes drugs which are to be sold only under generic names. So how do we remember that? Under generic names मतलब वैसे ही you have to sell them. You cannot change the name, you cannot give a brand name. So वैसे ही या वो ही नाम में जाएंगे. So that is schedule W. That is वैसे ही या वो ही नाम में the drugs which are sold. The next is schedule X. So X is something which is X, that is absolutely not recommended to be taken. These are the drugs which are psychotropic drugs. So in India, this schedule is the one which is the most strict. You need to maintain the documents similar to Schedule H, but Schedule X is more strict. It requires a prescription, maintenance of documents, then only these drugs can be sold. So X is XX, that is absolutely contraindicated drugs like psychotropic drugs. The next is Schedule Y. How do we remember that? Schedule Y is for clinical trials. So clinical trials, whenever you have to do a clinical trial, there has to be a why behind it. You are asked a question, why do you want to do it? So there has to be a why behind a clinical trial. So why is clinical trial related schedule. So let us quickly go through these. So the first we saw is Schedule F. So FF is ophthalmic. G is guidance, that is medical supervision, prescription not required, example antihistaminics. H is healthcare practitioner prescription, so prescription is a must, so supervision and prescription. Then J is JHO, conditions, HIV, diabetes, those drugs. Then we have Schedule P. P is period of life, that is the expiry date and storage. W is वैसे ही या वही नाम से sell करना है, that is generic. X is psychotropic drugs and Y is Y for clinical trial. So these are the various schedules. Hope this mnemonic helps you to remember. So do like, share and subscribe for our YouTube channel to get notified about more such videos which we'll be posting. Thank you and best wishes.